Okay, I want to make a quick little animation with this little dude. So, what I'm going to do, first off, I want a 25 frame walk cycle, so let's just go down to 20, or I want a 24 frame walk cycle, so I'm going to go down to 25 frames. Yay! And let's just pull his legs in a little bit. Should I take these, and I'm just going to eyeball them over to here. I know, if I want to be really accurate, maybe I shouldn't be eyeballing, but that should be good. Okay, great. And I got to do some weighting on this. My weighting sucks right here in the belly, but whatever. Anyway, so I'm just going to take the big torso control here, and on frame 1, I'm just going to raise it up a bit. Okay, and actually I could have kept it low, maybe. Actually, you know what, I'm just going to keep it low. Let's keep it low right here. I'm just going to hit S, keyframe it, keyframe 25, 13. This is the same bananas I always do. Same kind of thing. And notice the tail here isn't quite following. That's because I've got a I've got a dynamic curve on the back end of this thing. Okay, if I want 7 and 19 to be identical, if I middle click right now, I can go over and middle click drag and then hit S, and it's going to be the same thing, so that when I hit play, okay, we get that little floppy tail. And so now I've kind of figured an up and down movement that I like. And I could play with this a whole pile, but whatever. Just doing super quick. Now I'm just going to take a look at the shoulders and the hips. And if I go to the first frame, or actually maybe I should, before I do this shoulders and hips, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's do it like this. And I'm just going to do something really sneaky, like 15 degrees. Okay, something like that. So these two here are rotated exactly 15 degrees. So it's really easy for me to measure. You can change this, you can make it less, you can make it more, whatever. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit S, keyframe it, keyframe the last one so they're identical, and go to 13. Frame 13, just hold down J, S, and I did this one here. I have to go and do the opposite way. As a sneaky man, I'd have it so these two rotate in opposites, but whoop. And so now when I press play, actually goes very well with the music. And I could also, if I wanted to, I could put a little twisting in it too, so I could think about this, and I could think that, okay, so when this here is, this leg is forward here, actually maybe before I do the twisting, let's do the legs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one and this one, and we'll just pull those forward. It'll be here on frame 1. Whoop. And I'm going to pull it forward here. And in my case, I'm just going to make it something really easy to measure. Yes, keyframe it there. Make sure the last frame is identical. Take these ones here. And since the other ones are going forward, that means these ones will be going back. Back. And we'll do exactly the same here. Okay, great. And I want to make sure that frame is exactly the same on frame 1, so I'm just going to middle click drag over to the front and keyframe it there. So they're identical front and back. And then I go to frame 13. And that's when I'm going to pull this forward. So this will be forward at 0.5. Yes. And this one here, these two, will be negative 0.5. Yes. And when I press play, from above, we're getting gecko action. Okay. And so the next thing I got to figure out is when I'm looking at this, okay, so when we'll look at this front foot here, when the front foot is going forward, so from 13 to 25, it's going forward at frame 19, let's pick them up in the air. Okay, yes. And you can do other things with these things if you want to, like I might even just grab this, and when I pull it up in the air, maybe I pull it out a little bit, and I'll flip it up. I should probably play with his little toes, like when I flip this one up. Yes! Okay, and we'll just check it out. What does it look like? Okay, starting to step. Okay, let's grab the other one. Here. And so this one these ones are going forward at about between 1 and 13, so I'll pick these up here. Yes. And I can do my funny little thing. Yes. And I can move this thing out to the side. Yes. Okay, and so there you go. I could also decide to do some little things like play around with the toes. Like, for instance, as he's going forward here, when they're flat on the ground, they look great. And then I get up into the air. Maybe I want to do something with his little toes and whoop. Yes, and maybe as his foot was going up in the air back here, we're getting something like this. As he's pulling them off the ground. Okay, so you get something kind of fun and entertaining like that. And I could do more work on that, but I'm just trying to go fast. What are we at? 6 minutes? Okay, and then I start looking at this head controller here and maybe the neck controller. And I'll do something like frame 1. I usually just kind of make it so it looks like they're going completely forward. So I kind of have this thing where I'll rotate it so it's in place, something like that. So it's actually going kind of in the opposite of the shoulders here. Yes. And I'll make sure the last frame is the same. Yes. And then 13 is the opposite, so I'm going to go back like this. Yes. Okay. And I'm just looking for something funny to do here. So what if I went up, and I have the neck selected. What if I take this one, I pull this back down a bit. And you see, you start playing with these numbers, 7 and 19. I always find that these two, is where you're going to get your funny results from. Okay, yes. Yes, and just see what that looks like. Oh, I missed something here. There's something I think on this one. Yeah. I forgot to pull that back up. I forgot to keyframe this one when I had it there. Okay, and it just kind of adds a little bit more funky movement. And you can put the jaw in and stuff like that. You can see the tail. I'm getting a whole pile of free animation from it. If I want to make the little lizard walk in a straight line, here's my little trick when I go in. Seems like the one I always do over and over and over again. Window. And if I go into the animation editor and I go into the graph editor, I got to bring the graph editor over this way. I'm looking at my little feet. And I'm looking really at the translate Z, the forward one, boop, right here. And these little keyframes right here, whoop, those two, I'm just going to go edit, copy. I'm going to grab my God controller, and on frame 1, I'll just go over here and I'll grab translate Z and I'll key select it. And there I've got a keyframe. Then I can go edit and I can hit paste. Now, it's upside down, so this means I'm just going to be traveling in the same direction, or not upside down, but it's going to be the curve that is upside down compared to what I want to. So right now, if I was to actually start playing this, you'll see he starts moving backwards with the foot, and he's moving at double the speed backwards. So I want to move forward. If I take this, and instead of a value of 1, we put in 1, and I make sure that's nice and straight. Now you'll see that when I look at his foot, we get some traction. His foot's stuck on the ground. Okay, and if I take this thing and I make it so that it's got a post-infinity linear on it, view infinity, so you can see it going off in a straight line. And so now my little feet. Okay, actually got to go back to the graph editor again. Boop, window, animation editors, graph editor. There. When I'm looking at my feet, I might notice that their translate Z. These 2 points right here on this one need to be straight. Okay, and this one here, when I go and I look at just the translate Z, it's those 2 points right there. You can kind of tell the one in the middle means that there's some, that's the one I'm lifting the leg up, and that's why the y-axis one is, there's the reason there's a keyframe there. These ones here need that to be straight. This means that when it's on the floor, it's going to be stuck. and it won't move. I grab these two here, make that straight. Okay, great, great, great. And now I grab all the controllers that I've animated. Okay, with the exception of the God control. And boop, F. I just grab all the keyframes here. And if I go into curves, post infinity, cycle, and I close this down, and what do we got? 10-minute mark? Great. 200. Okay. And I got to do some weighting on this thing, but if I take a look, boop, 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 boop. Okay. And there we have it.